I think visa overstays are low-hanging fruit of the immigration debate. It's a canary in the coal mine. If we can't trust the federal government to enforce those existing laws of a list of people whom we know a lot about, then how do we expect the government to do what we're talking about government having to do in the new immigration bill? Talked about entry-exit. We need to fix that. You need to be aware, America, that we need to know when people come here legally, and we need to know when they leave our country. And when they don't leave our country in that allotted time that they're allowed to come in, we grant them permission, then we need to go knock on their door at that last known address, at that university, at that hotel that they put down that they were going to be staying at that place of business that they were granted a work visa to come here to work at. We need to pay them a visit. That's low-hanging fruit. We don't have to chase footprints in the desert. We know who these people are. They didn't just come across the border on their own. We know who they are. So that builds trust. I ask people, Mr. King, around my district, what does a secure border really look like? And they struggle with that definition of a secure border, what that truly looks like in their mind's eye. I do as well. But first thing I think of is concrete, steel, and barbed wire, a fully secured border where we control who comes across. We control it through natural ports of entry. But I realize, I've been to the border, I realize that's not feasible. Concrete, steel, and barbed wire doesn't work in a lot of the mountainous areas in Arizona. I get that. But a lot more concrete, steel, and barbed wire, a lot more fencing, vehicle barriers or whatnot that will basically push the bad guys, the folks, the smugglers and others who want to come to this country, into corridors. And we can more actively enforce those corridors to apprehend those people when they do cross our border illegally. That works. And Congress believed it worked in 2006 because in 2006 we passed the Secure Fence Act. We already have a law on the books that decides that we're going to build a secure fence on our southern border. 2006. It's 2013. 7 years ago, we decided we were going to secure our border. What have we done about it? We've got several hundred miles of fencing out of a several thousand-mile border. We need to build more fencing. And I realize, before the American people, that fencing isn't an answer. But fencing is a great start. So let's do that. And then we need common sense reform to our immigration system, our current immigration system. I talk to farmers in my district who are concerned about the comprehensive immigration reform package that we're working on. In fact, the farmers in my district work with farmers all over this country to deal with the guest worker program for agriculture. And they are able to get the American Farm Bureau and some of the other farmers to finally agree on some language. I'm all for that. I think we need to expand the legal guest worker programs for this country. That's my personal opinion, to provide legal workers to the necessary industry, whether it's agriculture or others. I'm going to focus on agriculture because that's what's on my mind today. But a legal immigration system that provides the workers, whether it's H-2A, H-2B, some sort of new program that increases the number of legal workers that come here. And we get biometric data. We get a thumbprint from them. And it's not transferable. That paperwork is solid for that individual. And you have some sort of tie-in with the employer. So the employer has some ownership, so to speak, of that record that they ask for that employee is gainfully working with them. And when that employee decides to go to work for somebody else, that employer notifies the government, hey, he's not working for me anymore, but he did go work for XYZ company. XYZ company says, yes, he's a worker at my facility. Let's continue that. These are common sense approaches that we need to talk about in this country before we grant amnesty, before we grant citizenship rights to folks who broke our laws. And that word amnesty, Mr. King, is thrown around way too much up here, and it gets watered down in the eyes of the Americans. But what it means that everything that you're granted in the United States Constitution as a citizen of this country, what it means to be an American citizen gets watered down when we give those citizenship rights away to people who broke our laws coming here. That's what it means. And we need to remember that in this debate about immigration reform, that no amnesty, guys. No amnesty. And then let's approach a secure border. And let's talk about the low-hanging fruit of the illegals that are here, that we granted them permission. Let's deal with those issues. That's half the problem right off the bat. And we've stemmed the flow of others coming here, so we're not adding to those numbers. And then that other 50% that aren't visa holders, we can start dealing with at that point in time. These are simple things, Mr. King, that we have got to deal with. And every time we've granted amnesty in the past, we've regretted it as a nation. We've regretted it. We've truly regretted it because we failed to truly secure our borders. We failed to truly reform the system. And every amnesty has happened before, rewarding lawlessness, and those who break the laws only encourage more lawlessness and more illegal immigration. It's time to stop that cycle. And with that, I'll yield.